Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Raw and Wild Hearts podcast. I'm your host and guide, Lori Rising, embodied trance channeler, mentor, and sacred guide. And welcome to today's episode called Your Triggers Are Gold. Let's start mining, shall we? Now, before we get into the episode, I do want to say hello to everybody out in YouTube land because I am trying out a new format where I show up on video for these podcasts and YouTube. And then, of course, I've got the audio for the podcast apps. Now, if you are enjoying the video, let me know in the comments below. Also, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. If you're out in podcast app land and you're getting nuggets, pun intended, from this episode, please share a star rating and review. That really helps the show get into the algorithm and reach the people that do desire to do this disruptive work with us. They just haven't found the support to walk with them through it. I don't know about you, but I am absolutely ready to be in a community of humans that are healed, that are whole, that are aligned, that are in abundance, that are ascending. Because in that state, we are producing the miracles, the magic, and the creator energy that we came in to be. That's where New Earth comes from. It comes from us. You are the new earth. We have to get out of this waiting for something to change in order to find it in our lives. We've got to get out of the end destination is going to be the thing that allows me to do the work of the soul, of the energy, of the alignment, of the care. We've got to get out of trying to learn a rigid formula, strategy, or structure for frequency and energy because you already came in with a roadmap to it. And it comes from your contrast and duality that shows up in your life, that actually gets created in your frequency. I know. It's a lot to take in, it's a lot to embrace. But believe me, when you do, liberation is waiting for you. How do I know? I've done it. Y'all, I came in with a massive, massive abandonment wound. I also came in as a massive trigger and reflection for people. I came in with a Chiron Kazemi, for those of you that know astrology. I'm also all kinds of Aries. And if you know an Aries, their fire will trigger the heck out of those around them. So I used to avoid this. I used to resist it. I used to kind of hate it. I hated knowing how people thought. I hated knowing how people felt. I hated knowing that I was repelling people because they didn't want to have anything to do with that reflection for themselves. And even this past year, in this most recent revelation and excavation period that we've been in, I was ready to throw in the towel. I was ready to quit it all and do something different, which feels like it's been calling to me. Now, that Mars retrograde, being in Aries, it's the ruler of my chart. It was extra, extra in my world, but I know it was extra, extra in all of our worlds. Why? Because we have reached a level of light ascension within our bodies that we're more raw, that we're more vulnerable, and that we will feel those periods of constriction at a much deeper level because we're ready. We're ready to go there in trust of the expansion that's on the other side. So I just recently offered my free masterclass, The Dimensional Dance. If you weren't there, why not? If you want to be there, go below. I'm going to link it below because it was a rite of passage. Imagine if we had all not only learned what I'm throwing down in this masterclass, but received these kinds of embodied practices and galactic activations and transmissions. We wouldn't have to be working backwards the way that we are to disrupt these generational patterns and wounds and triggers in our lives. So believe me when I say get your butt in that room. Now, what I went through in that masterclass was 3D, 4D, 5D. We went through our ego in each, we went through our triggers in each, and we went through how life is in each of those realms. And what I want to talk about right now is just how the triggers show up in each of those realms. So 3D triggers show up as defense, resistance, control, blame, uh, bypassing, distracting, suppressing. Now, in the 4D, we start to have an awareness. We have an awareness that it can be different. It's the intermediary between 3D and 5D. But we have this awareness and we start like stepping into the healing, but we get kind of stuck in the healing loop in 4D. And that can start to become our normal. So when a trigger comes up in this state of awareness where we are conscious, but maybe still a little bit unconscious, we might be kind of playing back and forth between 3D, 4D, and maybe we're touching into the 5D sometimes. But the reality is in the 4D, when the trigger comes up, we will kind of pull at the 3D and we will find the reaction immediately. But then we'll come back with enough time and space and we'll work in hindsight because we want relief so that we can have this boundaried space to do the hindsight work in like, oh, I see how it showed up. I see my part in it. I see their part in it, and that brings us to this awareness. Now, we can get stuck in that where we're not actually using that experience that comes in to catapult us into 5D because we will always, once we have the awareness, get an opportunity to practice it to alchemize the new identity. So in 4D is where we have the invitation to alchemize the new identity, to move into the leap of the 5D, to move into the expansion of the 5D and hold it. That's the part. That's where we find the ease when we've cleared the energetic root and struggle, which is not usually the surface of the trigger. It's not usually the thing that's right in front of us. The person, the job, the experience. That's just another version of the wound that's come in from when we were born, babies in the womb, when we were kids, what that's come in from our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents, that's come in from a parallel life. So that's the root over there in the energy, but now it's been showing up in the physical in these various ways. So, I mean, just check in with yourself in your life. When you notice a pattern in your life, but it's happening in different spaces, it can be easy to not connect the dots. Whatever that is usually has become your identity. It's a behavior that you experience in your life, and then you take it on as an identity, and then you boundary it. 40, 40, 40, 40, when we stay in the boundaries. When we move into the 5D, now we activate the frequency that we're available for, and we trust it. So then we show up in courage to make the aligned moves, to take the risks, to let evolution play out. Sorry if I just screamed in your ear. To let evolution play out in the way that it's going to guide us to the leaps, to the changes, to the new paths and possibilities, to the magic, to the miracles in our life. So in the 5D, triggers are welcome. Now, in the masterclass, a lot of people, when I said, what happens with triggers in the 5D, they all said they dissipate, they're not there, they're non-existent. Nope, that's not a reality. I can see why we would think that, but it's not a reality. We're in this human body. We're in the human body to continue to have contrast and duality, to continue to catapult us deeper into our divine blueprint, our divine mission, our soul medicine. It's the path that came in with us. It was like predestined, but we'll slow it down. We'll move through it incrementally when we stay in the 3D of control, of expectation, of fear, of failure, of chronic states of stress and survival, and like feeling threatened in our experiences, and then playing small and holding ourselves back and dimming our light. So in the 5D, will we still experience contrast and duality? Yes. Maybe we won't experience them as triggers anymore because we have expanded to hold them in the magic that they are, in the therapy that they are, in the access point that they are. So even if they are a trigger when we go into these constriction times and spaces, which is when we're in the ebb and not the flow of the energies and the cosmos and the cycles and the seasons, then we're going to welcome them because we know what's on the other side. We know there's a big expansion that's waiting for us. And y'all, this past constriction period, like I said, it was the hardest one I have been through in a very, very, very long time. But because I am so solid in my channel, because I have cleared so much of the energetic struggle within my life, and I'm not walking around as those wounds anymore, I'm not claiming them to be who I am. I'm no longer living in boundaries. I live in an activated frequency. I can hold that pain, that kind of, it feels like an amnesia. It feels like you've gone backwards. It feels like you're lost at sea. I can hold that and let my innate guidance move me through it. And I can trust what does show up is going to become gold for me when I really let it play out in the way that it's meant to play out without squeezing it and controlling it, because it feels really freaking scary in those moments. I can't tell you how many times I have been on my knees and scared in these past 7 to 12 months, really feeling like I was going to leave this mission driven, soul based medicine business that I have put everything, every part of me into. But I had to trust. If that's what was meant to be, that was where I was being led. So I went on the ride, and wow, was it a ride. I have more to share on that, and I'm going to share it in my new program called Channel. This has been coming on for a while now because when I started going into this constriction, I had launched the program last fall and I pulled it because the overwhelm and the pain and resistance was so big within me that I couldn't go forward with it. So I pulled it back for the first time in this business and didn't knew it wasn't going to go away. I knew it was coming back and I knew I would be called to the time that would be divine. And here we are. And is it divine? We are in such a massive leap. This is the leap of 2025. 2025 is the pivotal point as we move into a wider and bigger and more magnificent ascension. 2027 is going to be where we are freaking levitating. It's going to be thought manifestation, but we continue to create the foundation for that now. 2025 is a historical year. We have massive planets moving into new signs all in this one year that has never happened in all of the history that we know. It's big. So what's available for you is big too. So that's why I wanted to come on here, because I know that when you come into an environment like what I am offering in Channel, you will do it different. You will be so aware to work with every moment and refine it to become the identity of who you are. The next evolution, the next iteration, because you're going to be vibrating in this exquisite circle of humans. And I am sharing everything that has brought me to the confidence, the clarity, the channel, the ease, and the joy of living from frequency and energy and having such a mastery in it. This is my next high proximity space. I haven't offered one for probably a year now because of the dismantling that I kept going through and going through and going through. And we are coming out, babes. This is going to be so big. I am holding nothing back. And if your heart is feeling the call, join now. You will already start your evolution the moment you say yes, and make it a freaking empowered yes. I actually have something I want to share with you real quick, because in this whole breaking down of my entire life in the last year, I had a retreat. And at the end of that retreat, it was at the end of the Mars retrograde, and it was hard. The energy was very challenging. And I also had the awareness around it. So I could hold it and I could show up for it. And also by the end, I was exhausted holding that space for the transformation that we all went through, because the triggers and the challenge were so much higher in the energy than the transformation that is still unfolding for so many of the participants now, that I trusted and knew would come through in their breakthrough when it was divine time, that I thought I was going to quit everything after that. I even applied for a job. And I trusted how that was meant to play out, as it did. And then just 2 days ago, I got the most exquisite voice memo from one of my retreat participants 2 retreats ago. And I am telling you, this has only amplified the freaking ecstasy that I am riding in right now, the joy portal that I am committed to staying in this wave of ascension. And she gave me her permission to share this with you, because I want you to feel what happens when you do start to say yes and the ascension starts to roll out in your life, when you've shown up in those triggers and not tried to find relief from them, and you let yourself move through the intensity in a space of trust. Here we go.
Take a moment to acknowledge your power. And I know that you know this, and this is one of the things that makes you, you carry such a strong vibe and presence, is that you know who you are and that you claim your divinity. And yeah, as I gather kind of information and observe how people facilitate and their capacity, it's really shown me how you have an impressive level of energetic capacity that you're able to hold and move through. And I know that that is all a culmination of the dedication and devotion to your work and your connection. And yeah, I just really felt like overflowing with love towards you, and wanted to share that today.
Okay. I'm not crying. You're crying. I'm crying. Everybody's crying. Yeah. I want to take a side note here and just tell you that if you have been impacted by somebody, if you have walked with someone through the fire, and even if it's years later and the expansion comes through, the breakthrough comes through, share it with them. Tell them, because that may just be the thing that keeps them showing up for humanity, showing up for the revolution, evolution, and showing up to create new earth. I cannot tell you what that voice memo did for this business, for my mission and my medicine. And I'm like, let's go. So if you're interested in channel, it begins May 18th. The circle is building. If you are a heart yes, an empowered yes, I am absolutely blowing these doors open for you. You can check out the details in the link below, because I trust you to listen to your innate guidance in your heart, and it will lead you through the frequency and energy of it. Okay, there's one more story that I actually want to share with you that I feel like is going to really land this for us. It's going to solidify it. And it comes from the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, where he talks about the story of R.U. Darby when he mined for gold. Because he went and he rented all of this really expensive machinery when he got the hot tip of the gold in the area of wherever it was. And he started mining, and he found one piece of gold. However, it's called something, I don't remember. He found a piece of gold. And so it was like, oh my gosh, here we go. Game on. Like, I feel the possibility. I feel the money. Like, let's go, let's go, let's go. So they invested all of this money, all of this time into mining in the path that they were in. It wasn't happening. Failure started to set in, doubt started to set in. They decided to pull out, they decided to stop, they decided to cut their losses. So they pulled out and they sold the machinery to somebody else, to a company, I think that had this machinery. Well, the company that had the machinery, they knew how to invest in an environment that would help them find the gold. So they invested in an expert who knew about fault lines and showed them the path of where the gold would actually be, which was 3 feet away from the last place that R.U. Darby mined. They found the gold and they found all of the gold, like millions of dollars of gold. And this is the lesson of where we do get support to mine our own gold. This is how we collapse the timeline. This is how we create the environment that sets us up for success. Because if we go it alone, if we stay in this isolation that we've been feeling for so long, we can still swim in those places of doubt, of fear, of expectation, and of time. But when you create the space around you that cheerleads you on, you will always, always find your gold. Y'all, people that are millionaires and billionaires that have done it in a space of alignment and in a space of happiness and joy, they have always done it from a space of investment. You see a millionaire and that frequency, I can promise you they have someone by their side that is coaching them, that is mentoring them, that is cheering them on, that is creating the environment of inevitable success with them. We are here to connect with each other and we are here in our own gifts. So you have something that other humans desperately need. We aren't all here to do and offer and share and be the same thing. You know, last night, my friend and I were walking, and it was such a beautiful, enlightened joy portal walk. And we were talking about codependency in relationships, and we were also talking about our dogs. And she was saying to me, you know, I'm getting to the point where I really want to stop apologizing for saying that I desire companionship in my life. And I actually stopped in my tracks. And I was like, what kind of world have we created that we feel like we need to apologize or we have guilt or shame about desiring connection, desiring love, desiring companionship? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. Because I started looking at all the times that I've done that as a strong, independent woman. And I will tell you what, these little babies right here, my little healer, Kitty Beezus, and now Journey, the love that I feel when I look at them right now is the frequency that I activate in all of my manifestations. They offer that to me daily. And I, for one, am no longer going to apologize or feel guilty or shame for desiring the connection and the companionship and the community or investing in the mentors, in the support, in the environments that hold my inevitability in the frequency and energy, even when I wobble. So believe me, your triggers are gold. They came in with you, for you, and from you. How do we activate them? How do we make them into the magic and the miracle and the access point that we are? I would love to be your support. I would love to be the one that walks soul to soul and heart to heart with you through those portals. And that, my friends, is why Channel has been birthed. And y'all, this is at the inaugural price. I consciously decided to make this half price so it could be a no brainer, so that it wasn't the old triggers of money and scarcity that stopped you. I want you to feel this in the energy and frequency in the 5D you, and I want you to trust it and stay with it and see where that takes you. Because I'll tell you right now that Erica, when she was a full yes on it and she jumped in and scarcity threatened to come back in, she said, nope, not today. And hours later, she got an opportunity to make the money back. That's how 5D works. That's how New Earth works. We have to activate it from within us through what's coming from us. Let's go. All right, y'all. I hope that this has been super supportive and I hope it's been really activating for you because this is the ascension wave. How are you going to ride it? I got plenty of room over here on mine. And P.S., I have a feeling I'm going to be dropping another episode before channel begins on May 18th. So, again, hit that subscribe button so that you're alerted when that drops. You're not going to want to miss it. It's all about manifestation. So, until next time, y'all, don't forget to keep looking up.